Hello all my friendsies, welcome back to my channel. Today I am telling you guys another story about things that have happened in my life. And this is one that I've mentioned quite a few times in my other videos. So today is a story about how my cat tripped a police officer. I feel like this video is going to be a bit shorter than the last one because unlike the last storytime video, there's not a lot of background information that I can give, because a lot of the background information is really kind of messy and definitely not my story to tell, if it was even a story that was ever going to be shared. So I'm only going to get into the parts about my cat, which last time I told you like my whole life story leading up to me visiting France. So anyway. So, like I said, I'm not going to give a lot of background because it's not my place to tell. But essentially, a friend of mine was having a very difficult time with her family. And she came and stayed at my house, apartment, whatever you want to call it. She came and stayed for a couple hours just until a friend of hers could come pick her up. So, that's all you need to know about that. The only other thing you need to know is that I have kind of two doors to my house. There's a side door and there's a front door. And the day that all of this happened, the housing department that like owns my house, they were fixing our front steps because they were like horrible stone stairs that were like falling apart to the point where you couldn't really even walk up them. So they fixed those stairs, but they didn't tell anybody that lived in the apartment. It's 3 floors, so there's 3 apartments. They didn't tell a single person that needs to use those front steps that they were going to use them, so they had them like blocked off because they were putting down like the new cement. So we had to use the side doors all day. My mom had to use them to go to work, I had to use them to like take out the trash, and my friend had to use them to come in and out of my apartment. And my cat Nugget at the time was... She was either like 1.5 or 2 because she just turned 3 May 1st. My little baby. But this was like about 1.5 years ago to 2 years ago. So she was younger and she was still very much a kitten. And when she was a kitten, she was very bouncing off the walls, lots of energy, didn't ever want to really take naps. Like a very excited little toddler. She wanted to constantly be going. And she used to climb up people's like jeans. You'd be sitting at dinner and if you had jeans on, suddenly you'd like, oh, and like look down because she's going like with her claws and climbing up. So that's the background information you need to know. So basically, like I said, the friend of mine was having a very big issue with her family. And she was at my house because she was waiting for a friend to pick her up and she felt safe being in my house. And then the police came. It was like 2 officers and they came. I don't remember why exactly. But they came and they like knocked on my side door and I was really confused. Oh, and mind you, I'm in pajamas because like when on my days off, I stay in pajamas because I have to wear my work uniform when I'm working and it's gross. And unless I'm filming a video, like I get dressed to film videos. I wear pajamas pretty much 24/7. So yeah, so like I was in my pajamas and my friend was obviously like in regular clothes, but they like knocked on my side door like really aggressively. Okay, like they weren't doing anything like arresting or like inspecting my house. They were literally like just coming to like talk. So they knocked on my door really aggressively, which I already was like, excuse you. So they knocked on like my side door and they came in. And they were like yelling at my friend and they were like, did you know we were out front? And she was like, no. Like I had no idea you were even showing up. Like I didn't know you were coming to like talk to me. And they were like, well, you were supposed to know that we were out front and and you have to wait outside. And she was like, dude, I can't get out the front door. This side door is on the side of the house. I can't see the front of the house from the like, if I stand at this door, I can't see the front of the house. I don't know what you want me to tell you. So they were like, they kept kind of just like yelling at her in front of me about you should have been outside and all this and meh, 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 meh. And in the middle of them yelling at her, Nugget, my sweet precious cat, there was 2 of them and there was like one of them was shorter and he was like quieter, I guess. He was still being a jerk, but he was like quieter. And the other guy was really, really tall and had like dark hair, and he was being the biggest asshole ever. And I also, again, I don't need to like say too much because it's not my story to tell, but not these specific people, but the police had been involved with my friend several times in the past because of her family situation going on. So like, and they were assholes to her every single time. So, but anyway, Nugget comes out of nowhere when they're in the middle of yelling at my poor friend. She comes out of nowhere and climbs up one of the tall one's legs, and he freaked out, of course, and like, I have to give him the credit, he didn't like freak out and like throw my cat at a wall, which like he shouldn't, but you know, we all hear stories about police nowadays. Not stories, we hear facts about how cops are the way they are. But you know what I mean. So he kind of just like freaked, he was like, and kind of like, Nugget does a thing where if she like runs at a wall, she jumps like high and then kicks off the wall and then runs the other direction. So she basically did that. She like climbed up his leg with all of her claws out, and her claws were really long at the time, and she kicked off and ran. So he kind of like looked at me and was like, "Was that your cat?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was. You're in my house." Like, so yeah, they kept kind of just yelling at her. And then after like a little bit, they kind of stopped. And they stopped yelling, kind of, and just were, like, talking very sternly and still very rudely to her. And they were just kind of giving her information about what was going on, and, like, what was happening on the other side of this, the whole reason why she was at my apartment, and all that. And they kept just saying different things, and they were like, and you need to make sure that you show up if there's, like, a court order and all that stuff. You need to make sure that you show up and meh, 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 meh. And she was like, every time there's been something like that, I've shown up. The other person hasn't. And they, like, obviously she was giving them attitude because they were being incredibly rude. And of course they didn't like that she was giving them attitude. So they just kept being rude. And it was like maybe a half-hour conversation of them just being completely disrespectful. So yeah, it was about a half-hour conversation of them just being incredibly rude and like, they weren't doing anything to help her. She was at my apartment for a reason. They weren't doing anything to help her. They weren't asking her side of the story. They weren't doing anything helpful. They were just being incredibly rude to her and me in my home. Like, so finally they were like, all right, well, like, next time if something like this happens, make sure you're out front. And she was like, okay, whatever. And they went to walk out of my side door. And to get to my side door of my house, there's like a hallway. I'm gonna do it from my perspective. So like, you're on the opposite side, kind of. So if you're facing it, it's a hallway, and our bathroom's right here, and then our washer's here. And then there's our spare room. Like if you keep going straight, there's our spare room, and then there's a wall, obviously, that separates the spare room, and then there's like a little hallway here. Like, the spare room's here, and then there's a little hallway right here, and our dryer's at the end of it, and our side door's right here. So they turn to leave, and the short one, like, goes ahead, and the tall one goes to walk out, and my cat, I don't know what she was doing. My cat comes out of nowhere, top speed, just meow, like as fast as she can, runs, and she went right between like his feet where he was trying to walk. And I think if he didn't kind of move the way he did, he would have ended up kicking her, not meaning to. He would have ended up kicking her accidentally. But the way he kind of moved, he kind of threw his foot back because he didn't want to kick her, and grabbed the wall. If he didn't grab I can promise you, if he didn't grab the wall, he would have hit the ground and slid and went headfirst into my dryer. I'm not saying karma, but karma. So he kind of stopped and like hit the wall and kind of like had to regain his footing, and he stumbled a bit, and Nugget, like, she did that and then like disappeared again. I had no idea where she went. You know how cats have like magical tunnels? They go into like one room and they end up on the other side of the house and you don't know why? Yeah. So she did that. And he like stumbled, had the wall, and he kind of like turned really slowly and gave me and my friend like my friend and I like the dirtiest look. And I didn't look at her. I didn't see what face she was making, but I was definitely like, oh no, I'm so sorry. Nugget, don't do that. And I just like looked at him with this face. I was like, sorry, dude. And he didn't say anything else, and he just walked out. They left, and then like 15 minutes later, my friend's friend came to pick her up. But yeah, that is the story about how my cat tripped a cop. Like I said, I'm not saying karma, but karma for being a huge asshole. How many times can I swear in this video until I get demonetized? Woo! I hope you guys enjoyed it a lot. The only other story time I have that's like right in the front of my brain, that can be a video at some point. I'm not gonna do it as the next one because I have a couple other videos planned ahead of time, and I don't want to use all my really good stories too soon and then have none left to tell. But the only other story time I have left for right now is the story of Ah Smoothin', which is my favorite story to tell because there's a bit of an accent involved and I like to yell the accent really aggressively. I'm doing this because it also involves cell phones. Yeah! But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it somewhat funny. I think it's hilarious. It's my favorite story to like talk about with that friend of mine. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day and I will see you in the next one. Bye! Got our hair up, we got the window open, we got a story to tell.